Howdy and welcome back to East Texas Now. We have our Michael Richardson joining us now, someone who has been following all of this for, is this week 3? It feels like week 3. It's probably, a giant mesh.
Well, the quorum break was 2.5 weeks ago.
Okay.
And then the first special session, they were talking about redistricting a little bit before then.
Okay.
So it's been around a month.
It feels longer. But finally coming to
What are you talking
vote.
about? It feels like 2 seconds.
Oh, no. It all came to an end just when we were in the middle of the 6 o'clock newscast when they made the final vote. And I wanted to ask you because, when it comes to all of this within the Texas House, it almost feels, I don't know how to say it, but the rereading of the bill and revoting, it just feels like a show rather than like all right, let's move on to the next thing.
And this is, legislation can be complicated.
Yes. Yes, it can be.
And that's the stuff you don't hear a lot about. But the process of getting legislation to the finish line involves quite a few procedural steps.
Yes.
That you don't always think about. And one of them is, you got to do a second reading for a bill. And then you got to do a third reading. And then that's final. And now this bill still isn't totally complete yet. Mm-hmm. It's got to go through the Senate. They need to approve it. And then it goes to the governor. Well, then it needs to be, I believe, signed by the Senate and then sent to the governor who signs it. And then it goes into law shortly thereafter.
And the reason it's going back to the Senate is because of the amendments made. Is that correct?
Well, the bill has been voted on in the Senate yet. And I
Okay.
believe it is a different map than it was during the first special session. So the Senate just needs to approve the changes, which, they approved the map during the last session. So
Right.
there's no reason to believe they won't. Really passing. I don't know if there was ever too much of a question as to whether this would pass the House, but Democrats leaving the state, denying a quorum, it was kind of a matter of when, and the when was Wednesday, August
We don't
18th,
see
17th.
Senate Democrats doing the same thing. Is that something that could happen?
So,
Or is that a completely different?
well, the Senate has a higher. The short answer to your question is it could happen, but it's
Okay.
highly unlikely that it would prevent a vote, because there's 11 Democrats, I believe, in the state Senate. You would need all but. If you only had one Democrat who decided to stay, there'd still be a quorum.
Okay.
So you would need all of them. If my math is correct, you would need all of them to leave to deny a quorum and prevent a vote. And there's no reason to believe that's going to happen.
Okay.
It could.
It
Anything's possible,
Do you
but
think-
I highly doubt it.
Do you think this will be on the governor's desk by Friday? Do you think it's going to be that quick of a turn? I know it's all speculative.
So today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, today's Wednesday.
Yes.
So I get that. The hardest part of the day is figuring out what day it is.
I know.
But I don't know.
Okay.
But maybe by the end of next week it'll be on the governor's desk. I would anticipate the Senate takes this up pretty quickly because keep in mind these special sessions are only prescribed to be 30 days in length, so they only have so much time left.
Right. But Abbott did say that he can call as many as he wants and he
Yep.
plans to make sure everything gets moved forward. Now, I know we have other big items that need to be discussed. Of course, school. We need to talk about education. We need to talk about flooding recovery and response. And that's something that still hasn't been brought up, at least as a big vote, until this was moved forward.
Well, the flood relief, I believe it was Senate Bill 3 by Senator Ben Court. I believe that bill has already been voted on by the Senate.
Great.
I believe it was unanimous relating to flood warning systems. So there's been some action already taken on the
Okay.
Senate side regarding a lot of these bills. It's just a question of what the House will do.
Right.
But,
And the House
still
has been held up because of
And the House
this.
has been held up because of this.
Got
Correct.
it. Okay. I'm trying to. It's a big jumble in my mind because this is something that I don't know a lot of, and I'm sure maybe a lot of you at home don't quite know it either. But it's easier to have someone kind of like break it all down. Like this is what's supposed to happen, how we move forward. It's just a matter of time, right?
It feels like a matter of time.
Yeah.
Because again, there's very little reason to believe this won't pass the Senate and end up on the governor's desk.
I know there was a lot of folks that we saw today really just basically not necessarily venting, that doesn't feel right, but just making sure that they felt that they had their voice heard. I think that was important, but we saw lots of back and forth today.
Yeah.
And yeah, it felt like a lot. It felt like a lot just to get to those votes, but I think it's important that we hear those, voices, those concerns and everything else. What did you take away from watching this? Because I know you and I were both like, oh, look at this, listen to this.
What did I take away from watching it? I mean, it
Yes.
was over 7 hours of debate.
Yes.
Roughly 7 hours. I think my biggest takeaway was what you said, was the back and forth. There were quite a few interruptions, quite a few times that the person presiding over the chamber had to, say, okay, we got to keep decorum. I mean, I don't think there was much said that was going to sway, either side one way or the other.
Right. And we didn't see those votes change no matter how many people spoke.
No, I mean, you had 88 Republicans vote for the bill, and how many Republicans are in the Texas House? 88.
Right.
So all of them voted for it. But you did have Democrats, I believe. It was Representative Gene Wu who mentioned, we're going to fight this in the courts. That being said, the current map, this is important to note, I feel, the current congressional map in Texas is being litigated in court as we speak.
Okay.
And that was approved years ago.
Right.
So if this tries to go into litigation now, how likely it is that it would be, declared to be illegal by the next time
Right.
we have a mandated redraw after the census. I don't know if that's something that Democrats can count on.
And yeah, that all goes back to timing, how it's going to impact everyone, because like you said, this is something that's still being fought in the courts. I believe that was 2020, 2021 when that went into, that lawsuit started. But nonetheless, it's still, being reviewed and everything else.
Litigation takes time.
Litigation takes time.
Litigation takes time. But, that's what Democrats are talking about a lot with the quorum break. I spoke with quite a few of them who felt like they accomplished what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Two of them, one I spoke with during the quorum break, Representative Christian Manuel, who felt like they accomplished what they wanted to do. And then after the quorum break, I spoke with Representative John Rosenthal, who echoed a similar sentiment, saying, they brought this to the national spotlight and they, and they prevented this from going on in the first special session. That being said, one thing I do want to mention is when I was speaking with Representative John Rosenthal, Democrat out of Houston, he mentioned to me, I believe he said, I would bet my first House paycheck that the first bill on the floor will be relating to flood relief. That was not the first bill that was on the floor. The first bill that was on the floor was congressional redistricting, just like it was in the first special session. So you may see Democrats come out and say, that flood relief should have been prioritized, which was which was some of their concern during the first special session.
And that's something that we heard a lot about today when
Yeah.
they were, speaking on behalf or against the bill is why not this instead of this. Also, I wanted to bring up something.
And you'll hear Republicans say, it doesn't really matter what order you go in. I was speaking with Representative Brett Money about that the other day. So that's what they'll
And we'll
argue.
revisit those conversations later tonight, I'm sure. But also I wanted to bring up that there was with the new maps, of course, we're getting those new congressional seats. Some saying that some of the folks who are voting for this right now, some of the Republicans are voting for this, will be running for those seats. Have we heard anybody say or mention, I will be running for that seat? Did I confuse you?
Well, the maps that are being voted on don't affect State House.
Exactly.
They affect the U.S. House.
Yes.
But, I was speaking with Representative Nathaniel Moran right here in Tyler a little bit ago, not today, a couple days ago, and I asked him, would you plan on staying in the 1st District? And he said, yeah. The 1st District may have changed just slightly since I talked to him with the proposal, but that was the last time I heard from him. So I think you'll see you could see some Republicans, join, try and go for these new seats. I know in District 32, which the proposal would extend. I know it's a lot of district numbers. I'm trying to make this digestible, but currently District 32 is centered in the Dallas area.
Yes.
Right. That's represented by Representative Julie Johnson, a Democrat. The new District 32 would go from some parts of Dallas all the way into Camp and Upshur counties. And you already have Republican Ryan Binkley, who ran for president in 2024, declare that he's going to try and run for that seat, one that's now Republican leaning. So you may see quite a few people like him try and jump into the race.
Okay. And I apologize if that question was confusing. I was trying to phrase it in a way where we
You
can
never
see,
need to apologize
where
to
we
me,
can see
Hannah.
those people, the folks, the Texas House state lawmakers trying to make the jump to the U.S. seats. That's what I was trying to get at. But nonetheless, I think you answered that perfectly. Thank you. Is there anything else that we might have not touched on? Because I know this has just been a long process. It's tough to kind of put a bow on it,
Well, I think obviously the final act is when Governor Abbott signs this into law.
Right.
Which it's not on his desk yet. Still needs to pass the Senate. But there's every inclination to believe that it will pass the Senate.
I'm going to look at the Texas Senate site to see if they have any, no plans yet, but we'll keep an eye on it. And I know you'll be following this too, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
A month in, might as well continue, right?
Might as well, right? See it all the way through. Thank
Yep.
you, Michael. I appreciate it. Goodness. Okay.
Thank you, Hannah.
You're welcome. Have a good one. Will we see you later tonight? Or you'll have more on this later tonight, right?
We will have more on
Okay.
this at 10 p.m. You'll hear about the final vote that occurred in the House.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. Again, that's in our 10 o'clock newscast later tonight.